Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to talk about Married at First Sight. Finally, they've given us decision day, because Lord knows they have been dragging us by our scalp this entire season. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, lavidarosastyle.com, where you can find cute accessories like the ones I'm wearing right now, these cassette tape earrings. Also, don't forget to check out my Married at First Sight rant, where I talk about the best and worst couples of the past 5 seasons. That will be linked down below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into this video. First things first, so there's no confusion, I wanted every single one of these couples to say no. I, like many other people in the viewing audience, did not feel like these were great matches, and I feel like in the long run they'll be toxic for each other. Just had to get that off my chest before we begin. So let's start with Clara and Ryan. They both came in dressed like a pastor and the first lady. Ryan had this huge bow tie on. We already know he got a wagon he dragging, so I'm just like, why do Ryan be wearing such tight clothes? I guess he can't help it. When you have a big booty like that, you really can't help it. Your booty is gonna poke out. With this hair, if you gonna perm your hair, you might as well perm your beard too, because it doesn't make sense for you to have a 4C beard and slick back hair. It just does not go. So why don't you perm the beard or do something to tame it? It just needs to be tamed. I want you to brush it, get you some beard oil, moisturize, you gotta, your look is not cohesive. It just don't go together. So that's what I'm saying. Like, either let your texture on your head shine, or do something about that beard, because the hair and the beard just don't match. They discussed their marriage, and she said that intimacy is just not a hill that she's willing to die on, and she's willing to wait a few more months. And it's like, girl, I can't want more for you than you want for yourself. If that's how you really feel, if you're not just suppressing your feelings and you're actually willing to wait, I guess maybe it wasn't a huge deal. They could have made it seem that way in editing, but it kept coming out of your mouth as an issue, not to him but to everyone else, when you weren't acting like your marriage was perfect. So both of them say yes, I knew that they would. Ryan did not budge on saying I love you. Everything has to be on his time. What is he actually compromising on? Like, she's compromising so much about herself. What is he actually compromising to be married? That's what I would like for her to ask him. Like, what are you willing to change? What are you willing to tailor to my need? Does he know that's how he comes off? I don't know, but it's like everything has to be on Ryan's time. And that's why I wanted her to say no, because it just doesn't seem like she's truly being fulfilled in this relationship. And, it's not fair. It's just not fair. But I also feel like she doesn't speak up for herself when it comes to him. So how would he know unless she actually expressed that to him? She makes it seem like, oh, it's a 10 out of 10. Or maybe she just got the racially ambiguous man of her dreams. And that's, as long as that box is checked, none of the other boxes actually matter. She will change herself to fit his standards. But I feel like that's not going to work in the long run. She's just going to resent him. Let's move on to Jacob and Haley. Y'all, I never have to see their faces in the same vicinity ever again. Like, they are miserable with one another. Like, they didn't even have to show up for decision day. Like, we already knew what they were going to say. I really wish Jacob would have kept the beard that he had. That was actually really attractive. Haley, the fashionista, she came in with her Fashion Nova dress and, her high slit, and just knew she was killing it. I mean, she looked pretty, but she act like she's so fashionable. Okay, so when they were talking to the experts about the relationship, I really felt like Haley was being fake. I don't feel like she's ever truly honest when discussing their relationship, or if she is, she's very one-sided and only tells what his downfalls are and kind of sugarcoats her downfalls. For instance, when they discussed coming back from their honeymoon and Jacob went off on Haley and accused her of having a boyfriend outside of him, he admitted that he was taking his own insecurities out on Haley and he was wrong for that. But she did not own up to the fact that she was dead wrong for ditching him at the hotel and completely switching up on him. The way they were questioning the situation, it kind of felt like they were trying to shift the blame onto Jacob, when we can all see that Haley is the problem. I really feel like Jacob really did give his all and Haley did not try at all, because she was not physically attracted to him. He said that he gave her the space that she desperately wanted, and she said because of that he didn't give any effort. And it's like, girl, what do you want? You wouldn't even sleep in the same room, like in the same bed with him, and you took that, him trying to be considerate of you needing that space, and used it against him and said, well, I felt like you weren't putting any effort. Well, which one do you want? Because when I try, you feel like I'm doing too much. So now what? You don't want to hug me, you don't want to kiss me, you don't want to, you know what I'm saying, do anything, any of the things that I want to do. I mean, you wanted him to change the way he dressed and everything. What more do you want? And he was willing to do that. I feel like he was willing to do anything she wanted him to do to make this work. And there's nothing that he could have done because you didn't want it to work. So she tried to play the victim and spun the narrative that you asked me the same thing over and over about, you know, questioning whether she was attracted to him. He said, I only asked the attraction question once. And who wouldn't? Who would ask that when you don't even want to, you know, be around him? And then she also tried to put on him that he would say, what's missing? And he said, I only asked you that question because you told me something was missing. So of course he would want to know, what does that mean? Then they asked Jacob, if Haley wanted to try to keep going in this relationship, what would you say? And he said she had 8 weeks to try and she never did. I mean, so what is there to hold on to? He tried to try and she didn't want to do that. And shoot, that's that on that. I mean, he said what he said. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to get their divorce. Thank God. They're not going to try to even pretend to try even more. I don't think she was actually going to do that anyway. I had no doubt she was going to say no. I'm just happy Jacob went ahead and took the initiative and got that $800 bracelet back, because I would have been salty if her mama would have still had it. You know what I'm saying? So yes, we all wanted that relationship deaded. Thank God we don't have to suffer through it anymore. So now let's talk about Virginia and Eric. Eric was nervous and shaking and sweating like the FBI was interrogating him about his whereabouts during the storming of the Capitol. He was shaking, okay? I feel like he's just a very insecure man and will always place blame on Virginia at the end of the day. At the same time, she is also childish for wanting to be married, but she won't put her husband first. She's putting her friends first and wants to spend the night at her guy friend's house. And I just feel like neither one of them are ready to be married. I feel like both of them need therapy. She needs it for her possible drinking problems. Why is she using drinking as a coping mechanism, as well as the things she went through in her childhood. She already said she has bad anxiety. She has a hard time trusting people, things like that. I think she should look deeper into that before wanting to be married to someone. And Eric needs to look into why is he so controlling and insecure in relationships. Why do you feel the need to have to be in control of every single aspect and throw up an ultimatum as soon as someone does something that you don't like? But as we all knew, both of them said yes, even though Eric was very nervous and shaking like he got on one knee and proposed just to pressure her to say yes even further. That's what I feel. I knew that she was going to say yes, but in the long run, do I think this will work? No. I'll never forget the moment she was having like a panic attack and Eric was doing nothing but poking and prodding her and making it worse and not doing anything to try to soothe her. So I just feel like off camera, that'll get even worse. Those are some really toxic moments. So I just don't even think they should be together. I mean, Eric looked super happy. He was cheesing and, you know, just had a twinkle in his eye. He looked the same way he did on his wedding day. But for some reason, you know, Virginia was smiling. And of course, she was ready to throw one back. But her eyes just didn't look happy. I don't think she's truly happy. I think she likes the fact that Eric represents stability. But I don't think she's truly happy with him. But we'll see. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. So let's move on to Brianna and Vincent. Brianna was sitting up there looking gorgeous. I love the little blowout look. Her hair is so pretty. She just looked bomb and amazing. And Vincent was just popping out of his clothes as usual. Vincent, just go up a couple sizes till you lose the weight, honey. That's all you got to do. It's so bittersweet for me to talk about Brianna and Vincent now, because majority of the time that I was reviewing this show, I was rooting for them, and these past couple of episodes really showed me something different in Vincent and made me feel like he was not ready to be married at all. I mean, he had just got out of a relationship the beginning of that year, maybe like a few months before he got married to Brianna. I feel like he's also dealing with some serious insecurity issues, and he much rather place blame on Brianna for being bossy. He'd rather take digs at Brianna than actually hold the mirror up to himself and say, it was my fault that we had those arguments. I would pout like a baby, or I would not speak up when I had an issue with something you said, or I was too sensitive when you would say certain things when you were clearly joking and I took it way too seriously. Like, he can't just man up and say that. And because of that, I don't think he should be married, because if you can't take accountability for your faults and you want to put everything on Brianna, I just don't think it's fair. I mean, he's sitting up here telling the experts, yeah, she been bossy, she been rude, and she's sitting up here tiptoeing over his feelings. She could easily say, well, what bothers me about you is you too sensitive and you act like a baby anytime we have any sort of conflict. You know what I'm saying? She didn't even bring up any of his negatives. I don't think that's healthy, that he can sit up here and blow up the little things that you might do, and we have to downplay or don't even bring up the things that are actually problems in your marriage. I wish she would just call out her grievances with him as loud as he does with her. You know what I'm saying? But I guess if she did that, then maybe she would be proving his point. In a lot of situations, dark-skinned black women just have to dim their light because they're going to be stereotyped as an angry black woman. I feel like he plays into, I think that's what makes me so mad about him, is that he doesn't realize that he's playing into that. You're not protecting your wife by trying to make her seem like a stereotype when she's not acting like that at all. She's doing the exact opposite and placating your feelings. I really, really, really wanted her to say no so bad. Like, I wanted her to send him home crying and sucking his thumb. I really did. And when she was giving her speech as to why she was going to say yes to him, she gave him too much, saying that she needs him. Like, girl, you do not need him. You do not. I hate that she gave him that, because he's gonna hold that over her. And then when he said yes, he proposed to her with cheesecake, and she was in literal tears. And I'm like, okay, I understand cheesecake may be your favorite, and you were like, oh, I love this more than a ring. But I'm like, is the bar on the floor? Like, cheesecake, girl? I'm glad later on she admitted that she was still like a nice ring. So at least she still wants the ring. She still has that standard. But I don't know. I feel like she gave him a lot with that cheesecake. Like, yeah, I love this. Like, she really tried to make the cheesecake seem like it was a ring or something. And I think even when she told like the rest of the couples later on, when they all met up and she told them, they were kind of like, cheesecake? The experts were like, cheesecake? Like, why did he think cheesecake was the appropriate thing to bring? I don't care. Like, maybe if you brought cheesecake in addition to the ring, but just the cheesecake, I'm like, that's less than the bare minimum if you ask me. I don't care if that is her favorite thing. You should be getting her cheesecake anyway. Like, that should be something you could get her on like a weekly basis. But a ring, I feel like that would signify so much more. And once again, I feel like she was trying to downplay how goofy that was and make it seem like it was so amazing to her friends by like, yeah, that's, you know, you can wear a ring, but you can eat cheesecake. That goes in my stomach. It's like, are you going to spend the rest of your life doing that for him? Is that really what you want to do, Brianna? I hope she comes to her senses. I just personally would not want her to be in a relationship where she has to cater to his ego for the rest of her life. But you know, I can't want more for her than she wants for herself. Let's move on. And now we have Tyler Perry Presents Paige and Chris. They ended their marriage halfway through this process. Why are we even having this conversation again? The only reason why they're having this conversation is strictly because they know Chris was going to act a fool. Everything that happened, they wanted it to happen. At this point, they're completely milking this situation as much as they can. I feel like the experts are the only ones that are embarrassed. Like, I feel like it's the producers and the people behind the scenes that are like really milking this, but I do feel like the people on camera, the experts, because they know it's making them look really, really bad. I think they're the only ones that look ashamed to even be here, because this is absolutely ridiculous. This is the couple that made this show lose its integrity. You know, it's the exact reason why a lot of people wouldn't even tune into a show like this. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I mention the premise of this show to people who've never seen it or who aren't necessarily into stuff like this, they're always extremely critical. Like, why would you marry a stranger? And then you're like, when you're explaining, you're like, well, they have the experts and they choose people based off of your characteristics, and they're doing like this matchmaking process. Supposedly they'll find the best person for you. But y'all choosing Chris and pairing him with someone like Paige, it just turned this whole thing into like a low grade reality show, like Love and Hip Hop type of reality show. Y'all knew what y'all was doing picking Chris. And if y'all really truly did not, then y'all suck at choosing people, and y'all need to really revamp the entire way y'all go about vetting people. Either way, this is y'all's fault that we had to suffer through this season, and it's almost unforgivable. Like y'all are gonna really have to make up for this season and how y'all jacked it up by adding Chris to this cast. First of all, looking at Paige, from what we've seen this season with her hair, I feel like this wig was an upgrade. Like, you can say what you want about it, might still not be up to your standards, but you have to admit it's an upgrade. So for that, I will give her props. Where Paige really irritates me the worst, like where she bothers me so bad, is quotes like, I think God put us in this process for a reason. And it's like, Paige, stop putting God in this. If anything, you ignored the signs of God telling you not to do this. You haven't reached the point where you can look in hindsight and be like, you know what? This was a mistake even signing up for this show. You haven't gotten there yet? Or at least look back on your actions and the choices you made to stick around. Like, you haven't realized, well, wow, there's something in me that's a little bit off to make me accept Chris and actually desire him after everything that he's put me through. I feel like at the end she tried to like stand up for herself and say that, but I don't think she believed anything of what she said. I'll get to that. Megamind claimed that he regrets not moving into the apartment and that she's the best thing that he never cherished, and he apologized. She's sitting there eating it all up as usual. I mean, he really has to say the bare minimum for her to feel like Helga does behind Hey Arnold's back. Meanwhile, Pastor Cal is sitting over there clearly not buying it. Actually, none of the experts are. Why should they? They can see through it just like we can. So he brought up the fact that he lost the baby and he made a dramatic tearless exit and was about to leave. Like, he got in his car and everything. The fact that the day just didn't end there, like, it should have ended there. Once you get in your car and like you're literally getting in your car about to leave, bye. They sat up there and sat there for 6 hours during Chris's dramatics. That's how I know they were egging this stuff on. They wanted this stuff to happen. Why are y'all sitting there for 6 hours? Y'all can't even get to the other couples because y'all are fooling around with Chris and Paige. So like I said, he made his dramatic exit with no tears. He's crying in the car, ooh, with no tears, not one tear in sight. That's why he kept covering his eyes up, because he couldn't muster up one tear. And as usual, she ran after him, and once again he apologized for being selfish. But you still being selfish. You still being selfish and putting your own emotions first, instead of taking the well-deserved criticism you deserve to have as a man. You should have sat your butt in there. Even if you were gonna cry, you should have sat your butt in there and dealt with it. But no, you have to cry and make a scene trying to garner sympathy. If you really did lose that baby, that's terrible, that's sad. But for you to really run out of here crying and trying to make yourself the victim was ridiculous. He's giving this little half fake apology, and she took it as him stepping up and is reconsidering the situation since the baby is out of the picture. Girl, you never left him in the first place. He left you high and dry. She will always be an emotional mule for him, because he knows exactly how to play with her heartstrings. So she'll always be there for him to play with. So when she's backtracking and basically saying because the baby's not in the picture, she's really thinking about giving him a chance now, Pastor Cal was like, well, wasn't the relationship already in jeopardy before the baby was involved? Thank you, Pastor Cal, for trying to toss some sense into this girl. He was already not attracted to you. He waited until after y'all consummated your marriage a few times before he let you know, oh, I'm not attracted to you. And basically, I slept with you just trying to see if I can get some sort of attraction. Did you forget about that, Paige? That happened on the first night of your marriage. The baby didn't come until a couple of days later. So y'all really didn't have no foundation to build on anyway. So the experts told them it's time to make a decision. Chris says they're undecided. It's crazy because he was having this whole soliloquy about them being undecided and they just can't choose right now because of new developments. And he was gloating about, we're probably going to be the first couple in history not to decide. You could tell that he, in his mind, this is the clout that he wants. He know he had to make a moment. This is all stunts and shows for Chris. He wants to be the villain. He's playing this up in this moment. This is the most attention he's ever gotten in his life, and he's basking in it. He doesn't care how negative it is. And I'm so glad Dr. Viviana came in and shut him all the way down, because it was so narcissistic. Like, this little rant he was going on was so narcissistic. Yeah, we're going to be the first in history not to say an answer. We're going to be undecided. Y'all, it was so disgusting. Dr. Viviana shut him all the way down. No, I'm not taking this. No, you're going to have to decide. And you idiot. Not making a decision is making a decision. If you say you're undecided, that's just like saying yes, dummy, because you're still going to be married. Dr. Viviana shut it down. You've been playing with her, but you ain't finna play with us in our time. Okay, we're going to need an answer, and we're going to need an answer now. Chris doesn't take anybody pressing him to actually be accountable for his terrible actions well, and he was really about to curse out Dr. Viviana. It took Paige holding him back, saying, Chris, please, you're not going to control me. I'm not going to give you an answer. This is what you literally signed up for. That is the whole point of today. Did you not know what you were coming to do? That is the point. You had 2 months to make the decision. So Paige starts crying and she walks out at this point, and they were gonna leave together. A producer sat down with her, talked some sense into her, and she finally sat down and said no. I feel like the producer probably said in her ear, girl, this is your moment to finally, take charge and actually not look like an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like, she probably didn't say it in those words, but she probably told her, Paige, you're looking crazy. It's time for you to actually, take your power back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've been looking silly this whole time. And I'm just sitting up there looking at the whole situation like, cut the crap. Cut the crap. You left with him that night. Y'all know y'all was in each other's hotel room that night. Cut the crap. And Chris, you just want to be with Paige because you want to be a kept man. She has money. And you saw that money walking out the door, and that's the only reason why you're going to string Paige along, is because you trying to get in her purse. And I sincerely believe that, because you're not attracted to her. You admitted that. Why else would you want Paige? You don't want her for any other reason but to ruin her life, make her miserable. There are legitimately people out there that love to exert dominance over the people that they can, and he's one of those people. He literally takes joy in making Paige miserable. He loves it. So once they left out, Pastor Cal said, look, I can't be more angry at him than she is. And I feel like that's how all of us feel. Like, we stopped feeling sorry for Paige a long time ago, because it's like, we can't want more for you than you want for yourself. Like, we can go in on Chris now. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to defending Paige, it's like, girl, as long as you play into it, you're going to keep getting the same results. So why should I be putting my feelings over this situation when you don't even care enough about yourself? So afterwards, all the couples meet up with each other and discuss whether they stayed married or not. And, you know, Paige was sitting there looking lonely and sad until Chris walked in late, like the Tyler Perry villain that he is. If you can't see the purposeful stunts with Chris, I don't know what to tell you. He's clearly doing all of this on purpose because he wants to be the center of attention. So Chris walks in like the diva he thinks he is. And it's like, why are you even here? You barely showed up during the season. And so now on the final day, you want to come in and make everything awkward for everybody. Chris ended up apologizing. It really is too little too late, honestly. It falls on deaf ears because you've been acting a fool on social media even after all of this wrapped. So, you know, no one actually believes that you are a changed person or that was a real apology, because you have continued to curse out the cast on your Instagram stories. But Paige was just cheesing so hard. Like, yes, that's the man that I thought you were. I mean, like, the bar is down at the earth's core. But whenever he apologized to Eric, Eric gave that white man smirk when they really don't want to smile, but they gonna give you a smile anyway just to be nice. I thought that was hilarious. He accepted the apology. It was so stupid, y'all. Overall, this season was the worst season of Married at First Sight in Married at First Sight history. This season should have been left on the cutting room floor. Y'all should have cut y'all losses. I feel like more people are disgusted with this show than ever. Like, we've had some villains on this show, but this really took the cake. The caliber of the show is down there with that of a Love and Hip Hop, you know, whereas we held y'all to a higher standard, you have disappointed all of us. And I'm ashamed to say that I even watched this show now. You know what I'm saying? Before, I could defend this show. Like, yes, they actually produced couple, especially after last season. Y'all gave us Bennett and Amelia, Woody and Amani, and even Miles and Karen now have a great relationship. I could at least say yes. Over 70% of the time the couples don't work out, but they do actually produce great couples this season. Even though in the past 3 out of 5 couples would be considered a success on this show, nobody's impressed this season because those were 3 bad matches. I don't care if they did say yes to one another, they're toxic. So I don't consider that a win. I just don't see those couples having healthy relationships in the long run. And so that's why I just can't even be happy for them. I can't even be happy because I feel bad for them. Married at First Sight, do better. Step y'all teams up. Step up the vetting process. You know what I'm saying? Get some real experts behind the scenes to actually analyze these people. Do background checks on people and find out how they were in their previous relationships so we don't get another Chris. Talk to their family members. If y'all would have talked to Vince's family members, y'all probably wouldn't have chose him. Even one of his family members told Brianna after the wedding that he had anger management issues. How come y'all didn't know that? Anyway, y'all, let me know how y'all feel down below. If this review was a little lackadaisical, it's because I'm completely over this show as a whole. I'm kind of tired of it. I can't wait until the next episode is over so I can completely be done. And I just need this well-deserved break from the show. I don't even know if I'm going to pick up the next season. I don't know. We'll see. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.